Hello, everyone, and welcome to May the 29th and episode 16 of the Renovation and Outdoor Living Show. Really good to see you. My name is Rawdon Christie. And as usual, the format is we've got a couple of guests coming in. I hope you'll get involved with your live comments here on Facebook. So do jot anything else down which you want to ask our experts or ask anyone, even from the Refresh Renovations and Zones landscaping companies. We can get any questions you like to them about anything at all. So a long weekend ahead here in New Zealand, plenty of rain in the forecast, perfect time to plan your renovation or your outdoor living space. And as we discussed on Tuesday, you need to start by looking at the costs and requirements. That was our theme, and we first spoke to Dan Vincent from Encore. He basically told us everything we needed to know from a landlord perspective about the new healthy homes legislation. So if you've got rentals, you need to know your obligations, your timeframes, your penalties, potentially as the legislation comes into force. Plus, you also can learn about how the Encore team, if you watch back at it, they go in and do the once-over checklist to tell you what you need to change, what you don't, smoke alarms, drafts, insulation, heating systems, etc., etc. And they'll do the checklist, and then they can help you with any work that needs to be done to bring your rental up to standard and avoid you getting into any trouble with the tenancy tribunal. We then talked to Nick Clements from Your QS about the importance of getting an accurate costing before you begin your renovation, and why and this was the interesting thing, and I didn't realize this, the old traditional price by square meter estimate of what it's going to cost you is so often grossly inaccurate, particularly if you're dealing with renovation where there are so many unknowns rather than a new build particularly. So the idea of Your QS is that they go in and they actually they model it. So they're not just going in to make an estimate on site and what they can see, they actually model it up and they do it like that. So the key there being, make sure you're really thorough before you start, because the cost could blow out, as we know. Now, today, we are going to return to the bathroom. We often talk about bathrooms because they're such important rooms, but specifically we want to talk about considerations over two areas, the tiles and the mirrors. And our first guest, Jodie Rubman, has more than 20 years experience in the bathroom industry. She's the national sales manager for Saint Michel. That's New Zealand's leading bathroom furniture brand. And they supply this huge range of products through from plumbing and building outlets through their leading plumbing and building outlets around the country. Now, Saint Michel, I love this. It's a classic Kiwi family-owned manufacturing business. And Jodie, I need to know from you, before we start talking mirrors, before we start talking mirrors, what is it? You've been in the bathroom game? If that's such an expression, for 20 years, what is it about the bathroom that makes this room so important or so appealing?
Well, so Rawdon, as you know, bathrooms and kitchens are kind of the areas that sell homes. And the way I've always kind of looked at it is, when you wake up in the morning, the first place you go to is the bathroom. So if you get it wrong, then it kind of sets you up for a day of either being annoyed or disappointed. So it's really important to get it right. And it just sets you off for the day, really. That's my opinion, having spent 20 years playing the game. So, yeah.
And we're going to be talking mirrors specifically here. Now, what I want to know, though, is because not only is the first place you go the bathroom, the first thing you do is probably look in the mirror. So is it that the mirror is actually going to set up your day or ruin it for you? Or is it the state of mind that you go into? I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say on a serious note is the mirror, it is the only room in the house where you're ever going to find a mirror. Always find a mirror.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And getting that right is really important. And mirrors have become quite the fashion object in recent times. Different shape mirrors have always been around, but they're getting more and more important in terms of fashion. We're seeing a huge trend at the moment with the softer shapes. So on screen, you can see the round mirrors. We do those in 3 different sizes. You can see the pill shape. We also do an organic shape. But the other trends that we're seeing coming through from overseas and that we've got on hand are black framed mirrors. So there's a lot of thought. And then the other thing you need to consider, I guess, is, do you just want a mirror or do you need more storage? And we do mirror cabinets to suit those needs as well. So, yeah.
Can I just go back and ask you, what's organic? I get pill-shaped, I get oval, here's a rectangle. What's an organic shape?
An organic shape is literally that. So it's an uneven shape. I'm not sure if we've got an image today, but yeah.
You mean like sort of bespoke, cut to a certain different space, or just a weird shape?
It's just a weird shape. So it's kind of an overly wavy shape. I don't know how best to describe it.
So it's what you say, it's making more of a feature of it, making it into a bit more of a piece of art, maybe.
Yeah, huge trend
you mentioned storage just now. Are mirror cabinets in vogue, out of vogue?
Look, mirror cabinets have always been in vogue. A lot of houses are getting smaller. Bathrooms are getting smaller. Well, it depends. Trends come and go, big and small bathrooms. But storage is something that's always been needed. And you can only fit the size vanity you can fit. But by adding a mirror cabinet, where it looks like a mirror in front, as you can see on screen, but there's storage in behind. And we do those in sizes ranging from 600 right through to 1500 and in 2 different depths. So if you can recess into the wall, then we do a deeper version, which is great. But if you can't, we do a standard version, which sits really comfortably on front of the wall above your basin without impacting into your washing space. Yeah.
And it still gives you enough depth to be able to put your bottles and your toothbrushes in, I guess.
100%, yeah.
Tell me, what's the cost? I mean, if you're just going for, you talked about, let's use your round mirrors for an example, because that's probably what I'm thinking about putting in our family bathrooms. I want to know, what's it going to cost? You said there are different sizes. How much does a mirror cost?
Well, our mirrors and mirror cabinets range from $78 right through to sort of $1,900, depending. And I'm talking retail pricing there. So it really depends what shape, size, etc. you're looking for. So there's a vast variety in between those 2 price points.
Yes, so $80 is just going to be a very straightforward, fairly standard sized. Do you guys? Yeah. Where do you manufacture all your mirrors?
Yeah, so we have a manufacturing facility out in Henderson in Auckland. Our mirrors, though, don't come. We don't make the mirrors. There's not many people that make mirrors in New Zealand anymore, so we bring those in.
But you're doing all the casing and all the sort of bespoke stuff here. Okay, now the lighting. Do you leave the lighting to someone else, or is that part of it part of the mirror now? Because it seems to be a really essential part of the mirror setup.
It is really important, especially in a bathroom. Natural light is obviously always best, but overhead lighting that's in bathrooms is standard usually casts shadows on your face. So for women doing makeup and hair, for men doing hair and shaving and things like that, it creates a really unnatural light. So we have a range of lights. We have cabinet mounted and wall mounted, depending if you're going to go with a mirror cabinet or a wall mirror. And we use a natural daylight bulb in them, and so we've had really good success and feedback with those. But lighting is really important to think about. Yeah, definitely.
Do people not want to cheat it and say, don't give me natural light? I want it to be slightly dark, slightly soft, so I at least go out thinking I look great in the morning. But no, I guess the natural light is probably important. Tell me about, okay, final question. Care for your mirror. How do you stop it looking, I don't know, splotchy after 6 months and then always dirty and grainy?
Yeah, so it's really important for mirrors in bathroom areas. I mean, we sell mirrors that are specific for wet areas or for bathroom areas, but it's really important to keep them dry. And when you use cleaners on them, don't let the cleaners get around the sides of the mirror, because the chemicals in cleaners eat in. So our mirrors have seals around them, but chemicals over time will eat that away, and that's when you start getting that corrosion in behind the mirror. So preferably just a damp cloth, and then wipe it dry with a dry cloth. So yeah.
I love that massive oversized round mirror which we're looking at there on the left. It's such a big feature of that bathroom, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey Jodie, thank you very much indeed for giving us a little bit of an insight into the mirror culture from a bathroom addict. I really appreciate it. That's Jodie Rudden there from Saint Michel, and well worth checking out their range, as we said, the most leading plumbing stores. And we'll have another chat, because I know you know a lot more about bathrooms than you've just told us.
Sure.
So good to see you. And if you want to get hold of one of these mirrors, well, you could actually use the voucher which you can win. We've been giving this away for the last few days. We're going to draw the winner on Tuesday. It's $250 Mitre 10 voucher. And if you want to win that, just remember you like this page and tell us what your next renovation project is going to be, even if it might be a year away. But just give us an idea of what sort of thing you're thinking about, and it would be good to find out a little bit more about that from us. So that's for $250 Mitre 10 voucher. Now, from mirrors to tiles, and we do talk about tiles quite a lot, but there's a specific reason we wanted to talk about tiles today. Apart from the fact that this is another good Kiwi family business, isn't that awesome having 2 Kiwi family businesses? Although the Saint Michel actually does a lot of their manufacturing here, these guys I think are mainly in the import business. But the Tile Depot, you'll have all heard of it, established about 27 years ago, I think it was. They had one wee store and a range of just 23 tiles. Now 13 branches. They go from Whangarei to Queenstown, so they're almost the range of the country. Their range of tiles exceeds 1,000. Here you go. They're from Italy, Spain, Asia, various other parts of the world. Now, 5 family members are still very much hands-on in the running of the business. They're proud to be New Zealand's only consumer trusted tile retailer, so we had to get them in. And we're going to have a chat now with Mike Siddle, who is the general manager for Tile Depot. And Mike, you one of the 5 family who's still involved?
I am. Yeah, we got Ma and Pa and a couple of sisters, and there's a brother-in-law as well. So it's a bit more than 5 actually.
Oh, so one of them married into it.
He did, yeah.
He had his eyes open. So have you been talking tiles all your life, pretty much?
Yeah, it's pretty painful around the Christmas table. It still comes up, but it's quite hard to avoid. But yeah, we live
and
and breathe.
I love what you've done with your living room with all these different tiles in the back.
You like that?
No. Yeah. So Mike's in one of the showrooms. Okay, I'll just point out it isn't so much of a tile tragedy that the house is decorated like that. But hey, tell me, before we start specifically talking about, because what we want to talk about is the slip factor of tiles, because it's quite an important element. But how much have what we want from our tiles changed over the last 25 years, do you think?
Yeah, it's a fashion industry, so it's constantly moving. And like many products, the last sort of 10 years with inkjet digital printing, the quality of that print has transformed the industry. So some pretty spectacular. We're an industry that kind of copies real material and prints it on a porcelain surface. So a lot of our product now looks like authentic wood or authentic stone, or they're now creating some pretty cool colorways. And the industry's got a lot more impressive over the last decade from the early years, or my early years.
Yeah, and I imagine that our tastes have also got more exotic and more complicated. Hence the fact you've got such a phenomenal, a range of 1,000 tiles. That's just crazy, isn't it? And I'll bet you're still having to. I mean, do you spend a lot of time researching, because that it must almost be endless?
Yeah, one of the silver linings of COVID-19 is we've normally got agents from Italy and Asia that are here almost weekly. So we get tempted into buying things we probably shouldn't. So we're having a little period with no guests at the moment, is allowing us to get our range under control a little.
Yep, and to consolidate a wee bit. So now let's talk about because one of the things about tiles is the slip factor, and I'm sure that this has changed. I mean, is there, just out of interest, any sort of, given how health and safety conscious we are and how ACC conscious we are, is there a sort of a slip scale?
Oh, it's an incredibly confusing topic. We could spend hours on this one, to be honest. But well,
it's Friday. We've got it's a long weekend in New Zealand.
Clear the diary. So there's the building code really only refers to the entryway of a home. So within your own home, there's no standard. There's different scales, like you say. There's different testing methods. One of the complications is the Europeans use one testing method. The Chinese use another. Some are accepted in New Zealand, some aren't. So it's a big topic, but there is no right or wrong answer. If it's a residential home, you can. A lot of customers will put a fully polished, very slippery tile in their bathroom, including in the shower enclosure and the wet areas. So it's really personal preference and common sense, which it comes down to.
Do you guys at that stage say, are you aware of how slippery this is going to get when it's wet, or do you just sort of, or do you sort of say, do you realize this has got a slip rating of, 9? Yeah. I don't know how the scale works, but you know what I mean. Are people aware of what they're doing, or do they come back later and say it's just too slippery for us?
Yeah, so it's usually the first conversation people have when they come in is, if they're slip conscious, they'll ask to see the anti-slip tiles, which that's a bit misleading, because an anti-slip tile is designed to go outside with a sort of a sandpaper finish that you wouldn't want in your bathroom. So there's this fine line between trying to find something with a slip-resistant surface that's still cleanable and you'd want to put in your own bathroom. So that's the challenge. And last year we invested in our own testing machine, which we keep here, and we're basically doing it ourselves. So every tile that we land, we're testing, and they have a scale. Kind of goes from about 20 to about 60. Historically in New Zealand, the 40 was the magic number, that if anything tested over 40, it was considered slip resistant, and anything under was not. So in Australia, they've built a sliding scale where it goes up in increments. So
sliding scale, I like what you did there. Sorry.
Yeah, so we're trying to adhere to that a wee bit, just to give customers an indication of what they're looking at. and just try and make that easier for the end user and even our staff. It is such a confusing topic.
Yeah, I love that though, Mike. It's almost classic Kiwi family business, isn't it? Saying, "Hey, this is really confusing, but it's actually really important."
It is. Yeah.
So let's create our own way of testing and our own scale, which is awesome of you guys. The other issue I have with tiles, so that's the slip factor. What about how easy? And I'm thinking potentially here, actually inside and out, how hard they are to keep clean sometimes.
Yeah, that's always on everyone's mind, and the number one complaint we get is the person that is cautious and puts quite a grippy tile in their bathroom. Ultimately, that grip's going to make it harder to keep clean. So it is finding that middle ground to keep people happy. But tiles are a glazed surface, so even tiles that are trapping dirt, it's not getting in the tile; it's on the surface. So there's various cleaning methods, and just about anything can be cleaned or keep reasonably clean. But yeah, you get the odd person who put a white grippy tile in a bathroom, and they create themselves a few dramas to maintain that.
Yeah, but they're not going to slip over. So when they come in and they complain that their tiles are dirty, you say, "Yeah, but look, your knees are okay, aren't they? And your elbows are okay." Yeah. It's interesting what you're saying about the building code. Just covers what did you say, the tiles in the entrance to the house?
Yeah, the external entrance to the house.
Because they also deem bathrooms, what is this, dry under normal circumstances? Yeah. That's a really weird phrase, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably a bit outdated given that so many people like open wet area bathrooms these days. So we're doing a lot of work with a company called LifeMark, who they're all about, they've got a 3-tiered approach to building your home. So effectively anyone can live in it, or, in 20 years time when you're a bit older and perhaps disabled, or, you got to plan ahead for your home. So they're generally those open wet areas that you can get in and out of without opening doors and stepping over stairs, and finding the right surface for that. So we've got a range of tiles specifically for them, which actually is a good way for our staff to work with customers, that if they are concerned about slipping and concerned about cleaning, this is a range that we keep in that middle ground for that very reason.
I've got a question here, Mike, from Helen. Helen Reynolds just written in a question. We have a lot of lime in our water. What is the best way to clean lime scale off the tiles?
Yeah, that's a common one. We get that with a lot of tank water, or we had one just yesterday actually. On our website, we sell, in our branches, we sell 3 ranges of cleaning products. The one that worked on a problem yesterday was Lithofin brand. So if you jump on our website and search Lithofin, there's 3 or 4 different options, but just read the specs, and one will specifically be targeting limescale.
Okay, so that's your website, which is tiledepot.co.nz. Oh, look at that. As if by magic, it's come up. All courtesy of the brilliant team at Refresh. I've got another question here. This is from another viewer. Lovely guy, this viewer called Rawdon. So tile just outside the front door, okay, where there's quite a lot of drip down from guttering above, and there's now and is quite dark and really mucky, and it's really hard. Even the mighty Jif won't get it off. What should he be using?
Yeah, it's the number one. We're almost a call center for people with cleaning issues in our stores and our website. But your household products like Jif are actually counterproductive. You need to use specialist tile cleaning products, and a Jif and a lot of other products will actually leave a layer of film on the tiles, which traps more dirt. So it's counterproductive. You need to strip it back with a heavy duty cleaner, and then regularly cleaning with the right product will be a lot easier than probably the elbow grease you're attempting.
See, I can't believe you've just so basically you're saying I've now got to clean my cleaning effort up and then start cleaning the tile.
Yeah, you do.
That's so depressing. It's a long weekend. Hey, very quickly, I've got another quick question here. This is from Griselda Williamson. Can I tile over tiles, or do I have to remove the old tiles first? Now, Griselda, I like your thinking. You're my sort of renovator. But is that something you can do?
You can, if they're stable, well attached, and no movement, no cracks, no drumminess. Yeah, it will save yourself a lot of time and effort. A lot of people are concerned about the height issue. once you put some adhesive and 10 mil of tile, you're going to gain another 15 to 20 mil of height on your floor. But flooring uplifting is a tough gig, so if possible, I'd avoid it myself, because once you start chipping up tiles, it can take days and weeks to get every little bit up. So yeah, you certainly can.
So actually, it's a pretty sensible question, which you probably
Yeah,
and the only trouble is once you put new tiles in your bathroom, now you've got to lift the mirror which Jodie sold you, because you're going to be too high to be able to look in it. Hey, Mike, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate that. Yeah, it did become a bit of a Q&A on how to keep tiles clean, but really interesting stuff. And actually, we'll in which case we'll plug that part of the tile depot. It's not just somewhere where you can choose from 1,000 odd tiles, but it's a place where you guys will actually you know your stuff. And that's really, really good to be able to just tap into a little bit of that today. That's Mike Siddle from the Tile Depot. Thanks very much, mate. Good to see you. Now, so as I said, enter the competition, because then we're going to give it away very shortly. And a final word this week we started by talking about preparation as a result of leftover from Tuesday. And I just wanted to mention this website, curb.com. I think it must be a US-based website. And I'm just going to say hi to Hamza, who's just said hi. Hi, Hamza. How are you? Nice to see you. So this website called curbed.com, curbed.com, they've drilled down the top 18 renovation apps. Okay. So if you're thinking about doing a renovation, and before you go and ring the experts, because you're probably going to need a bit of help with the design. So before you ring the team, you can play around with these a little bit and get an idea of what you want, okay? They include these websites. There's a paint tester, so you can visualize different paint colors on your walls. They've got a 3D house design. This is just 2 or 3 of the 18. A 3D house design. This allows you to basically test out furniture in one app. Okay. Now they've also got a scanning app, a really cool scanning app, which you can create a floor plan of your house, and you can do it either by actually using your phone camera live to film an area, and then it recreates this 3D model on your computer, or you can just use photos and the same sort of thing. It reads it. I think there's another one where you can actually measure using your phone by scanning from one wall to another, and it'll measure it exactly. There are a couple of apps also with millions of design ideas. So you probably will have heard of them, House and Pinterest, of course, very famous, very well-known app. But House has got over 20 million photos alone. They also have a feature called View in My Room 3D, where you can virtually try out some of the products, more than 1 million odd products you can try out in your own home and see how they're going to fit. And if you don't know what to do with all the old furniture and the accumulated junk that won't fit into your newly renovated home, curb.com has also a link to the best apps for selling your crap, for selling your old stuff. So you can there's a bit of a downside here. I think because curb.com is probably a US-based website, it's probably going to be quite hard to sell your old stuff through their recommended apps from New Zealand or Australia or the UK. So you could probably only use the apps if you're in America. For us in New Zealand and Australia, I think it's good old Trade Me and eBay. But if you want to have a bit of a play around over the weekend as you're preparing the beginnings of a renovation project or an outdoor project, go to curb.com and see what sort of apps they might cough up to help you. And on that note, I wish you a very good weekend. We'll see you Tuesday. Bye-bye.